So this is Two Brothers, and we want to talk to you a little bit about Ferguson, but not Ferguson per se, but just the events that are building into a movement. I was asking my brother earlier, what will we actually call this? Would we call it the Hands Up movement? The Stop Don't Shoot movement? And we were talking about this, and of course we have our own stories of interactions with the police. Clearly, my brother more than I, because knock on wood, I've actually never been stopped and frisked. I don't know if you know that, and I'm quite aware that part of my presentation and speaking, constantly speaking very standard English, really makes people read me in a certain way. Um, but I'm also really aware that you don't have to be a certain person for the police to target you. You don't have to be a certain kind of black man for the police to target you, but it's really important. We're two brothers, and it deeply concerns us. So I'd like to start with what happened to us on the bus today. We were just coming home on the bus, and I don't know if you want to share with our viewers what happened.
Well, you mean as far as running into the room? Yeah, bro, we ran into a young lady, and she basically gave us. I mean, I guess she felt like it was that time, one of those times where she could open up and start speaking to us, and so she basically gave us the rundown of maybe the last few years. I guess of her last few years. Had a son that got shot like 4 times. A son that that's incarcerated right now. This woman didn't look too. Not even she didn't even look 40 years old.
No, she could actually be our age. Yeah,
yeah. So
she's got a son who's incarcerated. Yeah,
yeah. So it just kind of reminded me that like, man, this is just one person though. This is just one person that's going through it. Like but that encounter, it was real. It was real.
I read a lot of news media and comments and engage online and like that. And one of the and I'm and, read some of the conservative stuff sometimes, not because obviously I'm conservative, but because I kind of want to know what's going on the other side. I have an uncle who watches Fox News because he likes to yell at the television. I can't watch it because it gives me I can't literally can't watch like 3 minutes of Fox News because it makes my heart palpitations and all that stuff. But one of the stories that she told us that really impressed me the most was, she was living with her grandmother and they had gotten broken in. And she was saying in order for them to, because the door was knocked down, in order for them to get the door repaired for the apartment complex to fix the door, they actually had to have a police report. Her grandmother discouraged her from calling the police, but she said, we got to get this done. She's been living in the apartment complex for 10 years. And the police end up arresting her. She had some outstanding unpaid, fine or something. And it's like, but even then, even that person deserves justice. It's not that she doesn't, need to pay the fines that she had been warranted for. But this was a totally different situation, and the police completely turned it around on her, such that she is the one who was a victim of a crime. She's the one who's seen her son. She said her son had been beat up by the police, and she explained how the police knew how to, handle him. They said, don't resist, stop resisting, and the son wasn't resisting. But she's like, I've seen cops enough to know that they're about to do something, and they sure did. They got the son on the ground below the cameras, the dash cam, and broke, different parts of his face. And that was the backstory to her calling the police for when she was a victim. And it's like, wow, you can't even trust the police. We want to call the police too sometime. We want to be able to depend on the police too sometime. And she couldn't. And that's what I think a lot of people who think, that these protests, the hands up, are about Michael Brown or about Eric Garner. It's not. It's about so much more than that. It's about this woman that we met on the bus today. It's about her sons. It's about the hundreds of thousands of people just in Camden, New Jersey alone, who might need to call the police because they've been victimized by someone else. And nobody deserves to be victimized. Even Al Capone had his day in court for all those people who say, well, Michael Brown was a thug, and there are all these videos surfacing of Michael Brown doing wrong, as wrong as he was, and he's a thug. So, we're judge, jury, and executioner suddenly, and these are Christians saying this. we're judge, jury, and executioner suddenly because he's a thug, so he deserved to die, and it's just disturbing to think how little Black life means to a lot of people that they don't even question how they come to some of the conclusions about Black life. I don't know if you have anything, and you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I just think that you know, just that the woman on the bus today, it touched me a little bit. I had to give her a hug, man. Like it was that serious. Like I had to give her a hug on the way out, just to let her know to keep your head up. If you see me, holler at me because it's serious out here, and you can tell she's a very bright person. This person's a very bright person. Like she has a good spirit, great personality, humor, and everything, and she has to deal with just the environment. The environment is what what she's used to, and the unfairness that comes along with it. And like when she brought up the information about the don't resist. I've experienced that myself. Like, you would say somebody to stop you, and all you have to do is just say, man, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then all of a sudden it's like, don't resist, and that's when your arm will get damn near twist your arm off. So, just for just for asking, what are you doing? But you haven't did anything. But that's part of and that's what the whole movement what I would say is about. You just want fairness. You just want justice. You just want to be able to know that if I call for help, then I'm going to get help, and I'm not going to be incriminated. If you are here for justice, that and I get stopped, I'm not going to get treated differently from somebody 10 blocks down the street. That's what we're asking for. Like, I mean, we just want fairness. We just want to be all want to be treated the same. And and that's pretty much the bottom line, like of it. And then it shouldn't have to be any different. We shouldn't have to go through those kind of things. It's already rough enough, growing up in an environment like that. An environment that you feel like you got to survive, or you're lucky to live past a certain age. You know what I'm saying? And that's the kind of variance that we carry on our shoulders. Like you live past 25 years old,
then you're lucky. You're lucky as a Black man to live. And we're in our 30s, and so we know that we're statistical misfits just because we're two Black men and we're in our 30s. That knock on wood, that we're happy and healthy. And I think that's what I find most disturbing in a lot of the public discourse about this is that people want to say, well, what about Black on Black crime? Well, that woman is a perfect example. She's caught between a rock and a hard place because she has to suffer with Black on Black crime. We know that. We talk about that. I mean, we rap about Black on Black crime. For anybody who says that, actually, you don't actually read any books by any Black people or see any movies by any Black people or actually talk to or care about any Black people because we're well aware of the problem of Black on Black crime. Of how big of a problem for it is. But part of the issue of Black on Black crime is not being able to trust the police or not being able to call the police because they're actually the ones who are going to turn on you and make you out to be the criminal. So it's this cycle. It's this perpetual cycle. So my aunt was saying about this situation that you are stuck between a rock and a hard place. And American, is supposed to be the land of liberty, justice, equality, and it just feels unfair. And I don't think that anybody is asking for, Michael Brown to be treated as some messiah. Nobody's saying he's a messiah. We're just saying he's somebody's son, just like Trayvon is somebody's son, just like Amadou Jallo was somebody's son, just like to be real, just like Rodney King was somebody's son, just like we're somebody's son. We're just asking people to be treated fairly, And so when Black people kill Black people, well, those Black people go to jail. Those Black people actually, for those who make it to jail, they probably get beat up by the police on the way there. But that could be a stereotype or just my own bias. But nobody's asking for them to be treated unfairly. Well, we're just asking them to be treated fair. And the fact that there's no justice for them, well, you see these hundreds of thousands of people in cities across America for people who are have a high level of education, who have no education, for people who are upper class, for people who are working class, for people who are dirt poor. They empathize with the scenario that's going on, and so that's my biggest issue is that where is the empathy? Where is the idea that you know, why do we have to demonize Michael Brown? Or okay, well Eric Garner, they shouldn't have did that to him, but anyway, he was resistant and he was, he had an attitude, or you know, it shouldn't be about that. It just whatever the scenario for who that person was, they were not posing the police. They were not threatening the police. They were not armed. They were not actively threatening the police, except with the words, and maybe they might have been all, blah, 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 blah. Bertie Mac has a joke about that. We might get all loud talking how we gonna blow up, this, that, and the other, but say where we gonna get the dynamite from and for who? Who's gonna sell us the dynamite or some C4 to blow up anything? That's just not who we are. We might be loud about it and bombastic and boisterous, but we're not the ones who are going to be um, threatening in those other ways. I sometimes think there's a big cultural gap between how we express ourselves and the threats that we pose, because it's proven, that the people who are invested in kind of a white mentality. You don't have to be white to be invested in that kind of mentality, but you can be black, and think like that too. Two black boys is a gang. Somebody who, a black guy like me, my brother's like, over 6 feet tall. I'm literally like half a foot shorter than him, but suddenly we're like Hulk Hogan, to the average uninitiated, person who has that racist kind of thinking. And that's what feels unfair, is that we have to, teach our kids, that they just can't be free in public. They just cannot be free in public, that we constantly have to be disarming, the people around us, let people know that we're okay, we're not going to hurt you, we're not a threat to you. And it's such a burden. It is such a burden.
Yeah, it's sad, man. That's it starts in the home too. Like you said, we gotta teach our youth, man. Teach our youth, and we have to respect ourselves. We have to, it starts in the home. It starts in the home.
Yeah.
It's and teach them about what's going on out here, so they know early. They can prepare themselves. And it's just sad, man. You read the news. It's tough watching the news these days.
It's tough watching the news. Sometimes you have to just unplug and turn off because it's depressing. Whether or not we've invaded some country, or you wake up and there's been yet another school shooting, just like today. Today was in Peshawar in Pakistan. But how many school shootings are there in America, and how much of this violence will we put up with? And so when we hear people talking about their gun rights as if the Second Amendment were the most important law on the books in America, seems to actually treat it like that. And it's like, so what about all these other people who are dying? Those are more important to us, that we control guns for that reason. Because if there were far fewer guns on the streets, the police would feel far less of a threat, because it just wouldn't be a constant issue. And I do think, I have to say it, I'll put that out there, I think it's a reasonable trade-off. That we need background checks. We need to ban assault weapons. We need amnesty for guns. We just need far fewer guns on the street. And that's one of the ways I think that people will, that we can feel this less of a threat in our societies. But actually, what we're talking about is a cultural shift from how we view each other across the color line, because there is so much love that is lost. I live in the United Kingdom, and even just today, someone was asking me what I like about living in the United Kingdom, and the top of my list are, God, guns, and healthcare. In the United Kingdom, they've had national healthcare since 1948, since after World War II. In the United Kingdom, almost, I believe, all of their cops have a body cam walking around, and most importantly, they're not armed. There are just far fewer guns in the United Kingdom than there are in the U.S. And the thing about religion, I love religion. I talk to my brother about spirituality all the time. But when your spirituality trumps mine, or when your spirituality, your relationship to your faith means that everybody else is wrong to the extent where, we can't build any amount of social solidarity. Even where it comes into, well, we can't even build a common healthcare system because something as simple as birth control or abortion or, gay rights or something, it becomes, we can't do anything together because, our faith separates us so much. And it's painful. It's painful to see. So that's just where I am. And I'm glad that this movement is really teaching us actually we have more in common. So you see a lot of different kinds of people coming together. And it's not just protest anymore. It's movement.
Yeah, it's a movement, and I think it's about time now. It's about time. It's about time that now we don't have to be violent, but we can speak in a manner that where we're heard, and it's respected. And when I say heard, I mean it's heard. It's heard, and we're respected at the same time, and that we're not going to tolerate it. We're not going to tolerate that. And it's about time. It's about time, because it's just like a bully. You feel like you can get away with it one time, and you get away with it another time. Keep trying, keep trying. Like push the issue so that becomes the standard.
And that's the standard, isn't it? That we can be shot out here with impunity. And that's a good analogy. I'm about to be full of this stuff. That's all we got to say about it. Keep fighting.